恭敬大德圣听，为此法会及一切众生，请赞妙法轮教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，速证无生。Well, the Sangha weekly virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, present the wonderful Dharma will to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the present, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranto suchedoye olahudi sanmiya sanfutoshi.
Namo saranto suchetoye arahati samya sambuddhase.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Do you have it there on your sheet? Can you recite with me Supreme? Ready? Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and rarely is encountered, even in a million eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Venerable Master and Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. Shifu Shangren, Gowei Shishung Daja Omitofo, Venerable Master. Good evening. Hi, everybody. We're back online with our Avatamsaka Sutra lecture, the 10 Grounds chapter. And tonight we're going to be continuing our lecture on the 8th ground. Please fill in all the gaps in our seats here. If you see an empty seat, grab it, it's yours. They all arrive at our destination at the same time. So, and we have the men over on the right side, and there we go. Amitofo. Welcome, everybody. We're going to begin the way we do. By the way, I wanted to mention, if anybody is interested in hearing a Vietnamese translation, the balcony is provided with a Vietnamese translator who will happily let you hear with one ear the English original and the other ear a Vietnamese translation. So please do consider that option. Welcome to everybody joining us online on our YouTube channel, Dharma Realm Live. This is indeed Saturday night, August 12th, 2017. We begin by invoking spiritual presence here. We chant together in Chinese the name of the sutra and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who bring it to us, and it's there on the bottom. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Huayan Jing Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pusa. If you can't read the Chinese characters, please follow the Romanized sounds, the ABCs, in what's called Hanyu Pinyin. That's the Romanized system that we're using here. And if you don't want to do that, then just look at the English and use the English and put it in your heart. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Huayan Jing Huayan Hai Ko Pusa Nam Da Fang Guang Fu Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Hui Fo Pusa Namo Pho Pu Sa Namo Da Phang Quang Phu Hoa Yen Hai Hui Pho Pu Sa Namo Da Phang Quang Phu Yin Jing Hoa Yen Hai Hui Pu Sa Namo Da Phang Quang Phu Yin Jing Hoa Yen Hai Hui Pu Sa Namo Da Phang Hoa Yen Jing Hoa Yen Hai Hui Pu Sa Namo Da Phang Hoa Yen Jing Hoa Yen Hai Hui Pho Pu Sa. Okay, in front of you, please find your sutra text and turn to page 10 and 11. We're going to be moving through our text a little faster than usual. We're going to finish a page today, which will take us to the end of our translated booklet. And because it's one big idea, and after we're done with that, I'm going to introduce some new music that has emerged from the community. So that's coming up. On page 10, we're down at the very bottom, the last line on the bottom of the page. We've been a bilingual community from the start, from when Master Hua first arrived, and our teacher, our founder, Master Shen Hua, when he first arrived in America, that's back in '62, he has always emphasized the bridge nature of our phase in the lifetime of the Buddha's teaching, 2,650 years ago. This end of the bridge, the elbow end, is over in India, right? And this end, the fingertip bridge, is in the U.S. now, and spanned all those millennia, 2.5 millennia, thousands of years, in all the countries, cultures, historical periods, languages, and where we are now, we're in the early days of Buddhism's arrival in North America, including Canada and Europe and Oceania, Australia, Latin America. And because we're in the early days of it, there's a bridge there, like that, and he came over, and we've gone back and back and back and back. There will be a time, probably 100 years from now, given whatever shape the planet's in at that point, when Buddhism will have become completely North American and completely Western. And at that point, we won't be looking back to China or Japan or Burma or Cambodia or Laos or Sri Lanka or Korea as much as we are now. That has happened in every country. But right now, we're still looking strongly back to China and to the Chinese culture in all the countries where it went in the diaspora, the spread. So for that reason, 2 languages, bilingual. In this case, 3. We have Vietnamese going as well. So that's one of our traditions in our youth. If a custom of 30 years can be a tradition, then that's us. And we use 2 languages. So Okay, down at the bottom of page 10, I'll give you the line. We're going to read page 10 and then over to page 12, skipping the English. And then we're going to come back to page 11 and recite together. Okay? Got the idea? Here we go. I'll give you a line and you can give it back. 佛子如生犯世欲界烦恼皆不现前住不动 turn over D. Nobody said turn over. That's good. You're listening. Okay. 依复如是一切心意识行皆不现前此菩萨摩诃萨菩萨心佛心菩提心涅槃心尚不现起况复其余实践之心 Okay, what did he say? What did you all say? Turn back to page 11. I'm going to put my palms together again, and let's do this in unison. Let's read together. Okay, it's really, I want to mention here, there is a way, a method, a fa, right, a dharma, that is to say a technique for reading in unison that doesn't get practiced very much. When was the last time in society you were invited to read along with your neighbors? Doesn't happen much, right? And it's a wonderful, unifying technique that is so natural. Instead of doing it alone, you do it together. But what it requires us to do to make it work even better is to use your ears as well as your mouth and your eyes. That is to say, from my mouth comes a sound, but this person and this person are also putting forth sound. So if my sound can be as loud as theirs, not louder and not softer either, but bring it forth with your ears as well as your mouth. And as you do that, be aware of the breaks. It's called grammar. Grammar is there from a time when people chanted. And in order to avoid chaos, it was good to know when to breathe. And of course, when we are not, this is the song of enlight, it's the pauses are there so that we can, okay? So, for example, disciples of the Buddha, see that comma and the white space that follows it? When we read together, we go, listening to our neighbors, disciples of the Buddha. Okay? Pause. It is like being reborn in the Brahma realm. : pause. Okay? And it makes it very nice. And it's a chance for us to kou, tong in, different mouths, same sound. The young man there in the orange jacket, I'm aware of an empty seat in the front row that is waiting for you there. Okay. So let's do that. Let us observe those pauses and the instructions we get from the grammar, from the punctuation there, and use our ears and recite. Ready? Here we go. Disciples of the Buddha, it is like being reborn in the Brahma realm. Once there, afflictions that arise in the desire realm no longer appear. Period. Pause. When one rests on the ground of stability, it is the same, in that functions of mind and consciousness no longer arise. For this bodhisattva, mahasattva, a bodhisattva's resolve, a Buddha's resolve, the bodhi resolve, and the resolve for nirvana no longer arise. How much the less do worldly thoughts occur? Good, thank you. Okay. Where are we? We are in a text called the Avatamsaka in the original. Huayan Jing in Chinese Kegon Kyo in Japanese. English will be flower garland. It's a sutra, the Buddha's words, called the flower garland. It's a very big book. When it's translated into English, it will be many volumes. Okay, big. We are in a chapter towards the late middle of the sutra called the 10 Grounds chapter. We're in the close to the end of the 10 Grounds chapter. So we're in the late middle of the sutra, and we're in the later middle of the chapter itself. We're on the 8th ground of 10. The main theme of the sutra is the bodhisattva path. What's a bodhisattva? What is this? The sutra tells us. Answers that question. What's a bodhisattva? The sutra describes it. And it describes the bodhisattva's insides. What are the thoughts in the mind of a bodhisattva? It's really satisfying that way. It goes right inside. And what are his motives? What are her motives? This is gender blind. Male, female, no distinction. It's beyond the differences in the body, right? It goes right to the heart. The Avatamsaka opens a window, you could say, in the mind of the bodhisattva to show what's going on there. It's really satisfying. Over and over again it says, here's what the bodhisattva thinks. And then it tells us. Very nice. It's very psychological in that sense. Okay? And further, it describes techniques, methods, just the way a doc file does when you want to know how to operate your new camera, your new hard drive, although hard drives more and more use pictures, right? Because they're multilingual, etc. So it's a how-to. This book is a how-to. How bodhisattvas are created or made. And that includes you, includes me. So that's really what it is. And I can say that. I don't know if other people have said that so much in the lifetime of this sutra, which first appeared by translation in the Tang Dynasty, 1400 years ago. People, by and large, take this text as philosophy, theory, lofty, right? It's not the way our teacher presented it to us over 9 long years of explaining it. So having heard a large part of those explanations, I was there when, just after this lecture series began at Gold Mountain Monastery, I absorbed it, and when it came time for me to really kind of put my thoughts on paper, I wrote my doctoral dissertation on what was called a practice-centered interpretation of the Flower Garland Sutra. What was the important word? Xing. Practice. Doing. Walking. So it's a walker's interpretation. You could have translated a pilgrim's interpretation of the Avatamsaka Sutra. Not a philosophy text. Right? It's a how-to. How to do it. Okay, so that's where we are. That's what we're doing. Good? Enough of that introduction? Got it? For those of you who hear this reprise every week, let's get going already. Please, what do you say tonight? You know, we got it. Go ahead. You know, okay, let's go ahead. Let's jump in. Splish. Swimming in the water of the ocean of fragrant water, Heng Sure of the Avatamsaka assembly. Disciples of the Buddha, it's like being born in the Brahma realm. Once you're there, the afflictions that arise in the desire realm no longer appear. Let's finish the analogy. When you rest on the ground of stability, it's the same. Functions of mind and consciousness no longer arise. Okay. What's going on? We've come to the 8th ground. The bodhisattva here, who's being explained for us, has been meditating to a place of It's mastery. This is a really skillful meditator. Someone whose meditation is so effective now that the practices are transforming him or her. His or her mind and body are being changed. There's an actual, the hardware is changing. Maybe it's not so much hardware, the wiring is changing. You could say, it's kind of scary, maybe artificial intelligence has arisen here and the computer has taken over and it's giving instructions to the programmer, something like that. That's not too far-fetched, actually. That gets a pretty good analogy. Because why? What used to function as consciousness now has amped into something else. There's a really good analogy. I'm sorry for doing this. No, I'm not. I won't apologize. I'll just do it. I will, at the risk of repeating myself, I will give an example that is a real-world example. Here is consciousness. Here is wisdom. Okay, here's consciousness. Here's wisdom. Same string. Same 440. This is E, so it's A440 would be there. But this is E's vibration, which is a certain number of cycles per second, okay, ordinarily. That's ordinary consciousness. Thought arises, another thought challenges it. You can memorize things, you can remember things, you can use language, normal consciousness, okay? But then the Bodhisattva mostly meditates, but other kinds of practices as well, and this is what happens. Same string, same vibrations, but it's a very different sound. The octave, right? And you can keep going, you can go. And suddenly that's a very different sound than this is consciousness. This is wisdom. Right? Different intervals there. Always available, never apart from the guitar. Those sounds are not made outside of those strings. But if you bisect them and touch them right at that spot, becomes. It was always there, but you didn't bring it out. These abilities, what's called wisdom here, were available to the Bodhisattva, but he couldn't bring them out because he didn't touch his string in the right place. Okay? So, rough analogy, but you can see those other sounds came from the guitar, but used in a different way. The wisdom of the Bodhisattva comes from your body and your mind, used in a different way. Okay? Not from anywhere else. All right. So, what is it like when this happens? The Bodhisattva on the eighth ground has been meditating, and changes have taken place in his mind. So what does that mean? That means reality is different for this person. Same eyes, same ears, but when he looks through his eyes, he's seeing more than before. He's seeing further. We could do the same thing if we did what? If we, here's the best one, a really good example. When was the last time you got measured for glasses? Okay, right, recently, okay, measured for glasses. You sit in the chair of the optometrist and they go, is the chart sharper now? And you go ETOPEFIG. I can't tell if it's a 0 or a G. 7, 4, 9, 6, 3. And they say, how about now? And they increase the magnification. You go, oh, I can see that small print now, right? It was always there, same eyes, different reading. That's been going on to the Bodhisattva now. And reality is different. This is really blurry. Something happened to all of you out there. Are you guys out of focus? Can you guys focus a little more? Oh, well done. And there we go. Yeah. Change your hair color. Look at that. Yeah. So nothing is different except lenses. Okay, by analogy. The Bodhisattva has been meditating and lenses are reground for him or her. And so she's seeing differently. Now, that's an experience any one of us can have, but it's not our experience. It's our potential experience. So the sutra is trying to explain to us what it's like. What's it like to be a bodhisattva at this level of cultivation when his lenses have been ground to a whole other level of acuity, of sharpness, right? And the sutra can't give it to us. So what does it do? It gives us analogies. We want to see far, we can't see far, so it shows us near and says, that's like this, only far. All right? That's where we are in the text. What's it like when your wisdom has been transformed by your meditation and these methods? Here's what it's like. It's like being reborn in the Brahma realm. Once you're there, desire realm afflictions no longer arise. Okay, should we translate that? Now that we know what it says in English, what in the world is it? What's the Brahma realm? What's the desire realm? What are afflictions? Okay, there is a whole study, there's a whole bunch of learning called Buddhist cosmology. Buddhist cosmology is the way the world looks through the Buddha's eyes. The sutra shows us the Buddha's vision reliably. That's one of the things that's going on, not only in this sutra, but all sutras. You get to look through the Buddha's eyes. Because the Buddha was who? He was a person who meditated to this level of transformation and then talked about what he saw. You want to know what's in the Buddha Sutra? It's what the Buddha sees. You get to borrow his vision. Like, I can't see that bird on that branch, he's really tiny. Binoculars. Whoa! Look at that bird's eyelashes. Yeah. Whoa, blink again. Cool, So the sutra is binoculars in the Buddha's eyes. Okay. The Buddhist cosmology is, through those eyes, what the world looks like. It's different, but it's still it's funny, it's recognizable, it kind of echoes. Oh, that sounds so familiar. Why do I know that? Like that. Okay, Buddhist cosmology. He says that in the world, if I were the Buddha, hypothetically, sitting here, and I opened my eyes and said, here's the world from right here, sitting on the stage at the Buddha Hall of the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery, I would say there are three realms here. There is the desire realm, there's the form realm of form, also known as the Brahma realm, and there's the formless realm. What are these? This is where beings live. And beings is the noun because it's a category of all kinds of creatures. The ones we see, sure. What do we see? We see humans. We see animals. Do you see ghosts? I hope not. Right? Said the Chinese side of the audience. I hope not. Chinese have a very interesting relationship with ghosts. Westerners pretty much, Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendliest ghost you know. Though grown-ups might run from him in flight, the children all love him so. Right? It's a Walt Disney kind of ghost. You're like, oh, that's a haunted house. Cool. The Chinese go, oh, gui. So it's different. What does it go? Some of us see ghosts. Ghosts are visible. Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call? So some people see ghosts. We see animals. All right. Do you see, let's change the word from ghosts and say, do you ever have a vision of grandpa or grandma who came back? Are they ghosts? Maybe, Do we see spirit? What about gods? Those are beings All right? Who sees gods? Well, the Greeks sure did. The Romans sure did. Mount Olympus, Zeus, Thor. Thanks to Marvel Comics, we see them more and more, right? So, the Greeks and the Romans, the Phoenicians, the Mesopotamians, they had a relationship with gods. Who else? Well, the Chinese kind of Tianren. 哇，天界降下来。天人降世, right? The Chinese, in kind of mythology and folklore and Jin Yong's novels, the devas come down. Okay, so kind of see devas, kind of not. Kind of see ghosts, kind of not. Mostly we see humans and animals. Okay, that's one tiny portion of beings. The Buddha said there are 3 realms. In the realm of desire, there are hell beings, we don't see them, ghost realm, kinda, humans realm, the animals realm, left out the animals, the humans realm, then there's a realm called Asuras. Some people say Asuras. What are Asuras? They are a realm of beings that fight. But they can occur in different bodies. Piranha fish, gobbling up anything that falls in the water. They're the Asuras, barracudas of fish world. Sharks, they're like the Asuras of the world. Police, often Ashura motivated. Robbers, the cops and the robbers both, Asuras. Maybe General Rommel of the Nazis, and who was the British tank general? Montgomery. Fought this incredible battle in the sands of North Africa. Both of them, interestingly enough, Scorpios by birth. Not scorpions, Scorpios. Out there in the desert, in the sand, with their tanks fighting, guaranteed, Ashura inspired. The greatest of athletes and the greatest of evil beings, usually Asuras. Okay, there we go, another realm. Don't know, you can't say, are you an Ashura? Will you sign my autograph book? They're not going to tell you. Okay, then one more realm in the realm of desire, the devas, the gods. Okay, so hells, ghosts, animals, said to be 3 evil destinies. The Buddha's vision says they're really there. We're using what consciousness? We kind of see it, kind of don't. All right? Then humans, Asuras, and Devas are said to be the 3 wholesome destinies still in the desire realm. Okay. Above those 6, that's called the 6-spoked wheel of samsara, coming back, continuing on. Samsara means continuing. Born, dying, born again, dying, born, dying. From the Buddha's vision, he said that's what we're all about. That's the story. Getting out of that cycle, difficult, but not impossible. Okay. When you get out of that cycle, there are 4 more births in the Buddha's vision of cosmology, which are what? Arhats, beings who end samsara's continuity and go to nirvana of a sort. Solitary Buddhas, the next level. Bodhisattvas, the next level. And Buddhas. So the 4 rebirths in the realm of sages are those 4. Okay, so we're going to focus right now on one of those 10, which is what? The devas, the gods. So the devas can appear in what are called the 3 realms. The 3 realms, Sanjie in Chinese, occur all in the one Dharma realm, the one chunk of the 10 that we just outlined, called the realm of devas. Desire, form, and formless. Desire is where we are. Devas, gods can appear, but they're still totally mortal. They still come and go. They still live and die. And if you look into the mythology of the Greeks, lots of stories about the death of the gods. Oh boy. Gods can die. They have a lifespan. The Avatamsaka Sutra our very own text has a lot of writing, a lot of description of the realm of the gods, where gods can go to war. You could be drafted in the realm of the gods and go to war as a celestial warrior. There are god wives, deva children, generals, soldiers, cultivators, right? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay. If you get beyond the Brahma realm through your meditation and through your blessings, where can you go? I'm sorry, I said it wrong. If you get beyond the desire realm, you can go to the Brahma realm. The Brahma realm is the realm of form, they say. There are what? 28 levels. And it's all determined by your meditative skill. All right? Back to the desire realm, 6 levels of heaven in the desire realm. Still being pulled by your senses. Okay? When we're pulled by our senses, when we're led by desire, sometimes they say blown by the wind of desire, guess what? Afflictions can happen. What are afflictions? Just call it frustration. We're familiar with that one. I wanted it, I didn't get it, I'm frustrated. Worse, I wanted it, I got it, I'm not happy, I'm frustrated. Right? It didn't satisfy. It wasn't what I thought. It wasn't what it was advertised. You know, I want to send it back, exchange it. Does eBay take returns? You know. So affliction arises as soon as something pulls us out into the world of senses. Things we see, hear, taste, touch, think, and smell. So afflictions can arise. It is like being born in the Brahma realm, where guess what? At that point, afflictions no longer pull us out. How nice. We don't feel frustration anymore. Why? How do you get to the Brahma realm? We get to the Brahma realm by cultivating the ability to, they say, rule, ting, to literally in Chinese, enter samadhi. That's the verb we use. What does that mean? How do you enter samadhi? You enter samadhi because your meditation has now taken on such a flavorful, rewarding experience in your life that you're no longer interested in things you see outside, things you hear outside, things you taste or smell or touch, including any body experience whatsoever, and no idea pulls you out. You stay home in your meditation. You meditate, whatever you do it, if you sit in full lotus, whatever, you go, I ain't moving, thank you. That's a very nice sports car you want to hand me the keys to and full of gas and a map and a GPS and, you know, and a full caddy of beautiful CDs to listen to, and I'm not interested. I'm meditating. Let that go. Let somebody else have that experience of buzzing down the road in a fast car. Nope. Whatever else could pull you out. Let's say a cruise to Alaska. The inner passage to Alaska, all paid for. You get the captain's deck, you know. Nah, I'm meditating. Right? Let's talk about it more. How about a scholarship for your daughter to Stanford? No thanks, I'm meditating. That's harder, isn't it? You know. Maybe I can reconsider here. Meditation, I can meditate anytime. You know, what was that? Where do I sign? You know? So my daughter, you know. So nothing pulls you out of your sitting. So guess what? No further outflows. You are happy to just sit still because the experience is so delicious. The dhyanas. If you want to get into the Brahma heaven, the Brahma realm, the form realm, you do so because you can enter the first, the second, the third, and the fourth dhyana. In Sanskrit, jhana in Pali. How do you get to the first dhyana? You don't leave your meditation with any one of your senses. Okay? You are content. And your body, your mind, your nature, all go from boom, they merge. One of the best analogies I found was my mother's Singer sewing machine. Anybody, mom have a Singer sewing machine? David, does your mom have a Singer sewing machine? Yeah, of course she did. And a what? And a Neki. Oh, bigger, even bigger. Okay, you know the experience. If you were a mom in the 30s and 40s and 50s, you sewed, because that was where clothes came from. And my mom's Singer sewing machine, at first it was a treadle. It was a... You applied the power with your foot, and the treadle went on a belt, and it made the big wheel go to the smaller wheel, and the needle went like that. And you ran the cloth through, and you got a seam. You know, oh, wow, it's really... And you get to the end, snip, whoa, cloth. Garment. Okay. I remember the day my dad brought home the first electric Singer sewing machine from my mom. And all she had to do was step on the button, the pedal, kind of like an accelerator pedal, and suddenly it went, and the needle went really fast. Effortless. She didn't have to push it with her foot anymore. But it was from the stillness to it had that beautiful sound of something well made. Something really well made. And that was before the days of planned obsolescence, when they made it intending it to break so they could sell you another one. Singer sewing machines were made to last and last and last and last and last. They weren't made to break. They were made to last. And so it was well made. And when she hit that pedal, it went from 0 to... And the needle was like that. You had to really run the clock because it was fast. You had to keep your finger out from under the needle. That was, And that was my definition of gears meshing with a good machine. Well made. Human industry made that machine, and it worked really well forever, When you enter the dhyanas, when you go from, oh, my knees are hurting, I don't know if did he fall asleep? Please ring the bell, check. No, he's still awake, darn it, Has the incense done? Oh, shoot, What do you mean only 5 minutes have gone by, When you go from there to this meshing. Here's another example. This is a really fine bell. Listen to this one. Still going. Isn't that fine? There's no tzayin. There's no distortion to that bell. And when you can enter the dhyanas, it's like that, I think. I'm not speaking from experience, but I'm drawing worldly analogies to get a sense of body, mind, including all the senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, and you could say nature and spirit, all. And at that point, you don't want to move. Why would you think of anything outside at that point? Because it's a flavor like no other. Do you ever see a dog eat ice cream? Anybody ever give your dog, not recommended, I'm not telling you to do this. If you give a dog a lick of your ice cream cone, you see this transformation. It's like, the dog is really not good to give dogs sugary stuff, but you just see this, like something hits this flavor, right? Kids too, when you give a kid an ice cream cone. You can see it for real, how affliction, worldly affliction pulls us out. If I watch, this is funny, you all don't know I'm watching, but I watch our Saturday lunch when there's a new Vietnamese or Chinese diner with us, and it's pho time, right? A bowl of pho comes out, and these guys have eaten pho their whole lives. Let's just say Vietnamese gentleman, all right? He's eaten pho his whole life, and what is pho? It's the national dish of Vietnam, right? And it's flavorful. It's got meat in it, and it's kind of spicy. And they're used to that flavor because they've eaten it since they were kids, okay? They come in and eat our delicious pho, which is vegetarian and bland because the cooks know I can't stand spice, right? And so these guys go, and instantly they're looking for the hot sauce. Immediately they're looking up and down, oh, no hot sauce, okay. And they go back to the bland pho. Because it doesn't do it. The pho is supposed to, because why? It's supposed to be spicy and oily, That's real good pho. Well, I would hold our vegetarian pho up to any pho in the world. I think our vegetarian pho is delicious, but it's not spicy. And these guys' tongues go, no hot sauce, okay. And you can see it. It's predictable, It's like, okay, I'm in the monastery that they're used to. Okay, I'll eat it, But there's something missing, right? In other words, no dhyana for you during lunch, right? Because your tongue is going out looking for, where's this? No, okay, amen. They settle for it. But that flavor, right? The tongue is strong. I know because for 10 years I ate food without oil and salt. That's a story for another time, but the first 6 months of my getting used to my diet of no oil and no unseasoned food, I demanded unseasoned food, which is how obnoxious of me to do that to people, the cooks. But my tongue was searching for the oil and the salt. It's amazing how we are pulled by our senses. Our senses push us around the Dharma realm. Okay, from the Buddha's eyes, he says, yeah, that's called what? The desire realm, friends. Welcome to the desire realm. Oh my God. Okay, so we're about to play you later tonight some new music that was just created, just launched into the world. The bass is missing. We don't have any boom, 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 boom. Discerning ears, maybe if I hadn't pointed out, wouldn't have noticed. But people who know will go, it's kind of light on the bass, lower end is missing, So all our senses have these what? Habits. Habits. And when something's not there, if our senses reach for it out in the world, we've moved. It's like being reborn in the Brahma realm. Once you're there, afflictions that rise in the desire realm no longer appear. When we're looking for something missing, seeking it, that's called affliction. Fanao. We're not content. How difficult it is to rest content. To really be, as Master Hua would say over and over again, everything's okay, no problem. That wasn't just a mantra. He meant it. It's okay. No different. Doesn't have to be one way or the other. Okay, so got it right? That's the cosmology. When you get to the Brahma realm, everything's okay, no problem, because you are at home in your body. Nothing need be added. Nothing can be subtracted. Because you are, you're homing on that beam of a whole new relationship of body, mind, nature, and you could say spirit and practice. Okay, so far so good. We turn the page here. When you rest on the ground of stability, it's the same. Functions of mind and consciousness no longer arise. Why? You're different now. You have transformed consciousness to wisdom. You've gone to the octave. Now, consciousness works just the same, just fine. You don't depend on it now. You're operating at another RPM, another cycles per second. Okay? That's a picture. Trying to do what? Describe what the bodhisattva is like now. Okay? Moving on. For this bodhisattva, Mahasattva, what is not there? A bodhisattva's resolve, a Buddha's resolve, the Bodhi resolve and Nirvana's resolve no longer arise. How much the less do worldly thoughts occur? What in the world is that about? Okay. Earlier, in like the couple pages before, what was described was the bodhisattva has put an end to practices that require effort. He's now into something called effortless practice. Effortless practice. You could say automatic pilot, sort of. Right? Cruise control. Anybody use cruise control in your car? I drove with Hung Lai once on, we're going long distance. Dharma Master Lai just arrived today from Index, Washington, 12 hours away, having started this time yesterday, right? Zoom. Drove all by himself, 12 hours. I've driven with him, and he's a major cruise control guy. And my car had it, and I never knew how to use it. And he showed me, it's just here and here, two things. You punch the button, and you click it, and you're cruise control. Take your foot off the accelerator, you don't lose speed. It's like, whoa, look at that, And as you go up a hill, the car accelerates just to keep the speed constant, and so very neat. To get out of cruise control, tap the accelerator. Okay, now if some of you have not done that and you say, well, the Dharma Master said all I have to do, please check it out on flat ground first in the parking lot of the Safeway. Don't try it on the freeway before you know how. Okay, so kids, don't try this at home in your car until you read the manual or watch a YouTube video to learn how to do it. All right, so cruise control, neat. Foot off the accelerator, don't lose speed. The car's cruising along. And my car is a 2001. So cruise control has been around for a long time, and maybe it's like way different now. Electric self-driving cars are coming along, entirely cruise control. We'll see about that, how quickly that happens. All right. The bodhisattva now is on cruise control for a lot of his practice. He doesn't have to say, oh, these living beings are really suffering. How am I going to appear to them in order to convince them to leave their bad habits and to stop hurting themselves unaware? He doesn't have to think that anymore. He just does it. And he's never wrong. Or she. Okay? I'm not a mom. I never have been and probably won't be. But you see brand new moms. First child, mom and dad. Never been a dad. Probably won't be. But first time parents, their first kid, the kid goes, achoo! And the mom and dad are like, oh my God, should we call the doctor? Get the inhaler. Oh, what's wrong? Take his temperature. And it's a sneeze. The third and fourth time mom, the kid goes, achoo! And the mom goes, put a coat on. It's like, done it before, right? This bodhisattva is so good at reading what's needed to teach this living being that they do it by, you could say, by autopilot, by rote, by reflex. No thinking needed. The thoughts don't have to register before they're in action. Why? They're different inside now. They've actually changed a lot of their wiring through their meditation. And to my mind, let's look at the text first. The Bodhisattva's resolve, the wish to rescue living beings and practicing because of those vows. The Buddha's resolve to teach and transform every single living being. The Bodhi resolve to open wisdom's functioning and to rescue beings. And the resolve for nirvana, the wish to leave the cycle entirely, don't arise. What are these? The best possible creations of the human mind and spirit are those. So this bodhisattva no longer comes up with the individual aspirations of the highest, much less any ordinary thought. It's really different now. That's to say, the mind doesn't function the way it did. How did it happen before? Okay, I'm not going to take responsibility. No, that's not the right to say that. I'm in conjecture mode right now. This is a pet theory about brain function, but if anybody has ever had, let's call, fever dreams. Sometimes we have a fever that's over 100 degrees, 101, 102, something like that, and we start to hallucinate. Okay? Now, I could illustrate that by saying you've ever ingested substances, but this is out into the world of YouTube, and I won't suggest that. I'm not going to suggest anybody has ever taken mind-active, hallucinogenic substances. But if that has been your experience, you know what I'm talking about. Anybody ever get stoned before? Don't tell me, but you know that you can hear colors and you can see sounds, and the six senses operate differently. Why? For the time that particular whatever it is that is in your system is in your bloodstream, you've changed your body chemistry. Your neural chemistry is different. Your brain's working differently, right? And you realize, my goodness, what we call normal reality is a pretty fragile series of neurons firing. Okay, don't take it from me. Take it from Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley experimented with, was it LSD or was it psilocybin? What was Huxley's drug of choice? But he wrote a book called The Doors of Perception, usually paired with a book called Heaven and Hell. But The Doors of Perception, anybody know LSD? What was Huxley on? Huxley was doing an experiment, controlled scientific experiment in an academic community where people who were tuned into their senses, writers, Aldous Huxley was an established writer, took mind-altering substances and watched what happened. And what he came up with was, reality is chemical. Right? Right now, my ability to speak English to you and all of you hearing it, and let's say our translator's ability to speak Vietnamese and everyone here hearing that, is a series of chemical reactions in the brain chemistry of all of us. It's fragile. It's held up by habit. All it takes is to get sick and have a fever, and it can alter radically, right? What is imagination? Okay, remember when you were small, Mom and Dad said, "Good night, honey," gave you a kiss, turned the light out and went downstairs, and you heard a bump, and you knew there was something under the bed. And that was something was under the bed was after you, and it was when you fell asleep, it was going to come out and eat you, right? Was that kids' reality is pretty wild. Their imagination doesn't take much, right? And it's mind chemistry. Okay. There is a theory. Here's what I say, I'm on shaky ground here. There's a theory that what keeps us from, quote, freaking out and having a psychotic break is limiting chemicals that kind of keep us one thought at a time in the consciousness, which we process. It's really fragile, you know. For example, 如果我现在改成中文，就不讲英文呢，那个讲英文的人呢，就听不懂。为什么呢？因为他们脑里边那些变化呢不一样 right? A little bit of change, and suddenly it's like, oh, I didn't connect that to comprehension. You know, did a little change. Okay. The Bodhisattva has been meditating with his full tank of virtue, based on precepts, which we call virtue, 戒的, the virtue of the nature and the mind in fullness, been meditating with that, and things are different inside, I think, probably chemically, as well as neurologically, whatever neurological means, right? So I'm saying I don't have the data to back this one up, but it's pretty solid theory. And so bit by bit, having stepped through the training and the discipline of grounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in particular, the Bodhisattva is now able to absorb a tremendous amount of input that has always been there, but has been severely limited by the governor of consciousness, which is probably chemical. Okay, as I say, no proof, the sutra doesn't talk this way, but now there's a genuine change. And the Bodhisattva can go back to consciousness, that mode is there, but it's not limiting him or her. They can read your thoughts, because where are your thoughts happening? They're happening right in a stream somewhere that's not that different. Who knows? Okay, but lots of things are available now that were potentially there but limited. No longer limited. Because why? Nothing is added from ordinary person to bodhisattva. It's only gone from nothing added, but now it's vibrating at a different rate. Okay, something like that. Okay, trying to bring it closer, this experience. Not foreign to the human experience, but cultivated out of the human experience into human plus, the bodhisattva's state of mind. So, the bodhisattva's resolve, Buddha's resolve, bodhi resolve, and resolve for nirvana aren't there now, the highest and best, but also worldly thoughts. 况复其于世间之心, the attitude of the ordinary person who is only selfish, only interested in satisfying the next desire and the next desire, operating on instinct, based on honor and shame. You can't say that about my mama. Bang, right? Right? So instinct, ordinary world. That's also there, but the bodhisattva would be severely limited in his ability to teach. So he or she is now a finely tuned instrument. What guides him forward? Vows and practices. Okay? Ready? Page 12. Any comments, questions online? Anybody? Like, I'm into theory land here where I'm talking about chemical changes, but it kind of makes sense. What was there chemically limiting because you came with it is now bigger and broader. What's it like when the bodhisattva gets to tong ti, da bei, same body, great compassion? No limits. Okay, seeing no questions or comments, we're going to move forward. What happens next? The Buddhas show up. 佛子此地菩萨本愿力故，诸佛世尊现在其前。诸佛世尊亲现其前，于如来智，令其得入法流门中。复如是言：善哉，善哉，善男子！ 此人第一，顺诸佛法。然善男子，我等所有施力，无为18不公。诸佛之法，汝今未得，汝应为欲成就此法，勤加精进，勿复放射于此人们。Disciples of the Buddha, through the power of this Bodhisattva's fundamental vows, all the Buddhas, world-honored ones, appear to him in person. They give him the wisdom of a Tathagata so that he can master the method of this Dharma stream. They say to him, excellent, good indeed, good man. This patience is the very best because it corresponds with all Buddha's dharmas. However, good man, you have not yet attained all of the 10 powers, the fearlessnesses, and the 18 dharmas special to a Buddha, dharmas characteristic of the Buddhas. Be diligent and vigorous in order to realize them. Do not let them go because of this door of patience. An event happens in this progress towards Buddhahood, which is the Bodhisattva gets a visit. Okay, I remind you, this is not a novel. This is not the Buddha's opinion. This is a handbook. This is a manual of the process towards Buddhahood. Okay? The Buddhas show up to this Bodhisattva who is in this state of patience because his reality has now gone. Everything this Bodhisattva knew to be real about 3 pages ago is now turned on its head. And he has been told to be patient because nothing that was rational, logical, real is the same anymore. The possibility of him going crazy or quitting is real. The possibility of him simply stopping and staying in what's called, what Wankong is called. What was it? Let's see. What was the name of that state of still quiescence? Still quiescence. What was it called? There is a state that the Bodhisattva is told not to stay in, right? It's, what kind of zhi was it? I'll have to look at the Chinese here. In any case, what is it? Top of page 10. Psychic powers. Finally, okay. Let's see here. Shishan Fanbie, Pusa Mohas. See here. Jinding. Yes, Mia Jinding. There it is. Thank you. It's the samadhi of ultimate cessation. What is it? It's a nirvana. But it's a dead-end road. Many cultivators, apparently, get to this place and go, that's it, I'm through, thank you very much. Because why? It's a pleasant, wonderful state. You don't go any further. Because why? It's scary to go further. It's beyond anything you've ever heard about or been described or told or experienced. And at that place, you need to develop patience when dharmas no longer arise. Wushang Faran. Okay? In Sanskrit, it's called Avaivartika, the place of no further retreat. If you can get through this passage, it's like a crossroads, you go on to be an 8th-stage bodhisattva, a 9th-stage bodhisattva, a 10th-stage bodhisattva, a bodhisattva of equal enlightenment, and a bodhisattva of wonderful enlightenment, which is a Buddha. Buddhahood awaits this decision, or it doesn't. Crossroads. Remember? We talked about it. Here it is. Finally, we reached that place that I've been talking about for months, where the bodhisattva's future is determined and it's not fixed what she's going to do. At this point, the Buddhas show up and go, Jia yo, Jia yo, Jia yo. Don't stop. Keep going. One more step. Do it again. Go team. Ra, ra. Give me a B. B. Give me a U. U. Give me a D. D. Give me a D. D. What's it spell? Bud. Give me an H. Ah. Give me an A. Buddha. Okay. They cheer him on. They encourage the bodhisattva not to quit. Right? So, because why? Living beings are suffering still. What does they say? Yo shan nan zi, ru sui de ru shi ji mie jie tuo, ran zhu fan fu wei neng zheng de, zhong zhong fan nao jie xi xian qian, zhong zhong jue guan, chang xiang qin hai, ru dang min nian, ru shi zhong sheng. Furthermore, good man, although you've mastered the liberation of serenity, ordinary living beings have not realized it. They still struggle with every affliction. All kinds of awarenesses harm them. Take pity on these sentient beings. Okay, who says the Avatamsaka Sutra is philosophy? It's appealing to his sympathy, appealing to his conscience, appealing to his vows, or hers. Don't forget, you might have reached a state of infinite bliss and serenity, but the people you care about are still in there winning and losing, being praised and being blamed, getting promotions and getting fired, right? Still voting one party or another party. So don't forget them. They're pulling the bodhisattva on by his heart, by her heart. Right? Don't quit. That's a very human, recognizable comment there. Right? And interesting how, the sutra is giving us what Buddhas do. Is this reliable? Yeah. This is the text about Buddhas. There's no other authority for what Buddhas do and bodhisattvas in the Avatamsaka Sutra. This was not penned by any individual, right? So the Buddhas come and say, feel your heart. They're hurting. You going to stay here in bliss land? Hope not. And many do. Apparently, many stay right there. Because the alternative is like uncharted, dark, probably not dark, but it's like nothing you've ever imagined ahead. So what happens? Practice happens. The same thing you did yesterday, you do again today in cultivation, and pop! We're not there yet, but it has to wait for next week because that's the end of our book, right? You make it through, you take that road, and this brilliantly lit field of wisdom opens up. And you have another challenge next week of the 9th ground, and then the 10th ground. And Earth Store Bodhisattva, they say, Kshitigarbha, whose residence neighborhood is worse than L.A., he lives in the hells. He is a 10th stage Bodhisattva. He chose not to go on from the 10th stage. But getting through the 8th stage, the 8th ground, is a big challenge. How interesting, right? So, what do they say? Through the power of your vows, because the Bodhisattva made the Bodhi resolve early on, although he's not making it at the moment, the Buddhas show up and they give him more wisdom. They open up more of his mind, taking away some of the darkness that's there, so he can get the method. And they say, good, 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 you got You're there. You're at the crossroads. You got it. You've made it every step of the way on your own steam. You've made it here. And all the Buddha's dharmas work this way, but there's more to learn. You haven't got the powers, the fearlessnesses, and the 18 special dharmas. What are those? Teaching tools. You're not the master of all those tools. They are still waiting to be honed, made sharper, made more effective in the next 2 steps of the 10 grounds. So, Buddhists have those. You don't have them yet. Be diligent and vigorous to realize them. Don't let them go because you're in this state of stasis where everything seems to be the same forever into eternity, and there's no like motive to go further because you can't, nothing like what's a vow, what's a practice. Your mind is telling you that you're there, you're not. Your heart is what pulls you forward. Isn't that neat? This is what the Buddhas are appealing to. When it gets hard, you listen to the cries of living beings who you care about and take the next step. Keep going. Practice another day. Cross your legs one more time. Go out and bow another time. Go get back in there in the nursery and give the kid what he needs to get the kid through the day, because they need you. Right? Okay? You kind of get the picture. It's really, this appeals to me because it's like so recognizably human. And yet at the same time sublime. What are the Buddhas talking about? They're talking about making another Buddha. Ultimately, and a bodhisattva immediately. Neat. So, what is the Buddha's role here? Religious authority, right? Creator, or coach? I have a theory I'm working on that the Buddha in the West, we don't need another God. We got plenty of those. Many people have like backed away from the masculine patriarchal figure that comes to us through certain scriptures. What do we like and what do we know and what do we trust? We trust our coaches. We love our coaches. We have the names of coaches who are famous, right? They tell us to get out there and do it better. And they show us how, and they keep us going. They keep the team together, and they fix us when we sprain our ankles or, have injuries. And we love our coaches. They make us better. Buddha appears here as a coach. Come on. You can do it. Try harder. Be more diligent. Living beings are suffering. Don't forget your vows. Go. Right? This is a really friendly Buddha figure speaking through the sutra, which is an authority. That's how I experienced my teacher. He's a coach. That role of Buddha, I think, is very approachable. And I think in the West it's going to fly, whereas the patriarchal power figure, keeper of all truth, who decides whether you get saved or not, we don't need more of those. We got him. Interesting, huh? Where does it put the Buddha? Beside you, not over your head. Now, of course, the Buddha is this incredibly accomplished, purified, virtuous being. He's already gone to light, is this fountain of light. Limitless light. But in function, when we're on the path, if you're doing the work, you get a coach who shows you how to do it better. I really like that. So anyway, just to say. From my American point of view. Okay, more to come. We have to translate more. We're kind of ahead of our book publishers now. We're right at, they got to get more text out there and get that machine out there and punch. But you should see that when these books are made, they're made about 2 p.m. on Saturday afternoon by volunteers who are going punch on the machine, punch on the machine, putting them together. So just a few words here in the last couple minutes of our session tonight about the presentation of Mahayana texts. I was in North Carolina recently, in a place where there is Buddhism. There's a lot of Buddhist activity, but not that much, And getting some distance and looking back, you get a perspective on what you're doing. And I guarantee I was the only bhikshu at the Swananoa gathering or at Warren Wilson College. And yet, here were these folks, mostly from the southeast of America, North America, United States, who were people of real goodwill. And they called me a person of peace, a peaceful person. That was how I was perceived. He's a peaceful guy, That's what they picked up. Not that I was a bhikshu or a Mahayana monk or a disciple of the... It didn't matter. That was a costume. What they were looking for was a person of peace. And that's okay. We'll take that, if that's the impression. But then I talked to some Buddhists who were dressed like me. I was put up next to some people who were in the Mahayana tradition who told me that I was wasting my time with these Mahayana texts that were apocryphal. The Buddha never really spoke them. That the only true Dharma was a certain set of teachings that were delivered at a certain point in time, and I was being deluded by and misled by the Mahayana entirely. Waste of time. And it was like a bucket of cold water from people who had never ever seen a Buddhist monk before to say, oh, it's good, person of peace. I like that. To the experts in robes just like mine who were attacking the Bodhisattva path. It was like, oh yeah, that's our world. This is called the Saha world. The world that is meant to be endured. And this is a time in the lifespan of the Saha world where people are struggling. It's called the Dharma ending age. And what is in the Dharma ending age? A time of struggle. And the point of that, my takeaway from that was, this is precious. Because Master Hua took 30 years of his life and every evening spent 90 minutes opening these texts and painfully, without people being able to understand him by and large, went through them line by line and said, please pay attention here. I want this to be in your awareness, your consciousness. Can you keep this alive, please? It mattered to him that we would, so it made a big impression on me. And my fellow, what I call senior disciples of Master Hua, who do the same. I'm one of a handful of people who take this as important. And just tonight is such a perfect example of, imagine if this voice went away and we didn't know what the human heart is capable of. How sad, And it is a thin thread keeping these alive. It's a spider's silk keeping these sutras in the world. when right within my own tradition, people who are beside me in everything but their thoughts. Their bodies are there right there, but their thoughts are not there. It's different. This is precious. The Shurangama Sutra, number 1 attacked. The Lotus Sutra, Sutra of the Wondrous Lotus Dharma, the Flower of Dharma, Miao Fa Liam Hua Jing, and the Flower Garland Sutra are the 3 main flag bearers of the Bodhisattva path in the Mahayana tradition. Don't assume that everybody has access to these thoughts. It's fragile right now. It's important to keep these going, to my mind, because there's something very sublime and noble about the Bodhisattva path. And it's important to keep the sound in the world. So I'm, coming back from North Carolina and being put next to people who were in robes and criticizing these texts and turning their backs on them. Not worth it. Waste of time. Go, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot this is the Dharma ending age. 狮子身上虫，自食狮子肉. Right? The fleas on the body of the lion eating the lion's flesh. Couldn't be closer physically, couldn't be further away in heart. So, not to criticize anybody. People are free to have their own opinions, but just to say, don't let these out of your sight. Because they're at risk. And to find a place where the Mahayana Sutras are explained and looked at and analyzed and walked in and taken for real, and there are not many. Dharma Realm Buddhist University is one of those places. Hallelujah. Bodhisvaha. Keep Dharma Realm Buddhist University strong, because it celebrates the Buddha's wisdom of all kinds and the Bodhisattva path. So, okay, enough of that. Let's transfer the merit first. And I wanted to introduce you all to an old friend. This is a guitar that found itself no longer a tree in 1967. This guitar was put together. Who's got good math? How old is it now? How many? Nobody does math anymore? 67 to 2017 is how old? 50? Very good. Just a test this quiz. Yes, this is a half a century it's been a guitar. For anybody who cares, this is a Martin guitar, and its category is a D28, famous guitar. Famous for its big booming bass. This one particularly balanced. In the 60s, this was the folk guitar. 60s and 70s. This belongs to Marty, by the way, and it has a storied history. This guitar has been through so many ups and downs in its life, including, great little anecdote, Marty was the original purchaser back in 67, I think, when it was a brand new guitar, and he kept his sales slip. Keep your sales slips, friends. He kept his purchase receipt, his sales slip, right? Martin guitars, I don't know if they still do, have a lifetime warranty, do they? To the original owner. They're guaranteed free repairs if you don't go, break them over your boyfriend's head or something. So, which actually happened to this guitar. It wasn't a head, it was a end iron in a fireplace. The things that hold the logs. Smash! In a fit of pique, which we won't tell. You have to ask Marty about that story. But Marty said, I've got to go fix my guitar. I've got to take it back to the Martin factory in Nazareth, PA. And he looked into his little box of keepsakes and found his original receipt. Took it to the Martin factory. They said, oh, what happened to your guitar, your D28? He said, and they said, whoa, no kidding. Give it to us. We'll fix it. And they did. Like new. This guitar has been through a lot of stuff. How wonderful. Lifetime warranty. They forgave him, even though it was not aging where it was smashing where they still fixed it. Okay, we're going to dedicate merit. You'll find it here on the last page of your Singing the Dharma songbook. Got it there? It's also on the back of your Dharma request sheet. And we dedicate merit to all folks who we would like to have generate some relief from whatever is wrong. So think of a place where your merit can be used and send it there with your thoughts. Every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see, our hands and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. All right, I'm going to jump up, go over to the podium, and we're going to drop the screen, turn on the projector, and bring some slides up for people to look at and listen to. We have a project called Dharma Radio Music, and it's our new American Buddhist Folk Song, CD. Yeah. And I wanted to show something about these songs. There are 14 songs. Family Tree, Wish to Repay, both of which were composed by me. She Carries Me is Jennifer Barazan's song about Guanyin. So it's Guanyin Zan. She carries me. That's a kind of a translation, but it's not really. She composed it, but it's inspired by Guanyin. Song of Enlightenment, Zheng Dao Ge, is written in the Tang Dynasty or compiled in the Tang Dynasty by Master Chengguan. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. By Master Yongjia, who is known as Xuanjue Fashi. It's translated. Notice that. Tang Dynasty song translated. Empty Cloud Wakes Up. This is Master Empty Cloud's verse that he wrote upon awakening. Translated. Right? Super Strong comes from the Shurangama Sutra. It's one of the 25 sages. Right? So that's a translation. Praise the Buddha. 天上天下无如佛，世间所有亦无比。十方世界亦无比，世间所有我今见一切无有如佛者。Right? Translation. Robe and Bowl comes out of the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, the story of the poetry contest. Translation. Breathing in, breathing out. Shurangama Sutra, Sundarananda's method, 25 sages. Theragatha, Sunita, from Pali, Buddhist poetry. The Old Fool, Lao Zhuo, translated. David Rounds wrote, She Who Hears the Voice of Turtle Island is written. So, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of 14 are Buddhist literature from another language, translated and set to music. Okay? So what is this? It's storytelling in song from Buddhist sources, from another time, another language. So that's what I wanted to share. So you get a sense of this is, not original, but new in our culture. Okay? Buddha BBM Songbook, BBM edition. Here it is. Want you to see Zheng Dao Ge, Song of Enlightenment. If you have it in front of you, you want to look at it there, you can do it, but it's here. You got it right in front of you in your songbook. Song of Enlightenment, 62 verses long. We only sing about 9 of them. 9 is long. It takes like 5.5 minutes to get through them. Goodbye to good and evil. Goodbye to loss and gain. In stillness and tranquility, you never ask again. Your wisdom mirror was coated thick. You never wiped it clean. Now it shines without a flaw. There's nothing you can't see. Okay. The order here is here. There we go. There it is. No, let's see. This is not the order I sang it in, or is it? Okay, I wanted you to read it as long as I sing it. So here is our new version, set in an American idiom. I played it for Marty this afternoon, and he said, wow, that's really in America. See what you think.
Mind is bright without a flaw. Everything's reflected, you can't see it all. All 10,000 things revealed, perfect, round, and bright. No inside No outside, just brilliant, pure light. Goodbye to good and evil, goodbye to loss and gain. In stillness and tranquility you never ask again. Your wisdom mirror was coated thick, you never wiped it clean. Now it shines without a flaw, there's nothing you can't see. Mind is the root, dharmas are all dust. Mind and dharmas both are like a mirror stained and cracked. Polish out the stains and cracks, the mirror shines like new. Forget both mind and dharmas, the nature now is true. This is the Mani Pearl, a treasure still unknown. Look to the Tathagata, but find it on your own. It works in 6 uncanny ways, it's here and now it's gone. A single round in perfect light, now it's hidden, now it's shown. Once you get the root, you can't let the branch tips be. Like a jewel moon that shines in lapis lazuli. Now that you have understood this wish-fulfilling gem, the benefits to self and others truly never end. Among all dharmas, there's nothing more sublime, as every Tathagata together realize. Hear my explanation of this wish-fulfilling jewel. Everyone who picks it up in faith will know the truth. Shines, the night breeze stirs the pines. In this clear eternal stillness, let things take their time. Buddha nature's pearl, wine ground sets its seal. Mist and dew, clouds and fog, hide and now reveal. It's not less, praise it, it's not more. Its body is like empty space, it has no fence, no shore. Never left this very place, it's always holding still. No matter how you try to see it, friend, you never will. You can't get it, you can't let it go. Since there's nothing there to get, why do you chase it so? When silent it's still speaking, when speaking always still. The giving road is open and the Dharma's flowing now. Someone asked, hey mister, this teaching, what's it called? I said, power to the Mahaprajna Paramita.
So, guaranteed. Never heard that anywhere else. That's probably the first time the Song of Enlightenment has been sung in English. So, the washboard was played by Fabrizio Alberico. That was the chuck, 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 chuck that you were hearing in the background. So, you think She Carries Me? One more? Okay. This is, and mind you, notice this says rough after every one here. These are the rough mixes. It's not going to sound like this when we're done because it's going to be adjusted. And what's that? Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
She is a boat, she is a light.
If you know it, sing along.
On a hill in the dark of night. She is a wave, she is the deep, she is the dark where angels sleep when all is still and peace abides. She carries me to the other side. She carries me. She carries me. She carries me to the other side. She carries me. She carries me. She carries me to the other side. And though I walk through valleys deep and shadows chase me in my sleep, on rocky cliffs I stand alone. I have no name, I have no home. With broken wings I long to fly. She carries me to the other side. She carries me. She carries me. She carries me to the other side. She carries me. She carries me. She carries me to the other side. 1,000 arms, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 ears to hear my cries. She is the gate, she is the door, she leads me through and back once more. When day has dawned, when death is nigh, she carries me to the other side. She carries me. She carries me. She carries me to the other side. She carries me. She carries me. She carries me to the other side.
So that was stop it. Stop. That was Fabrizio on the other guitar. And I might mention that both those guitars are made by one person's hands, his. That must be particularly satisfying to want to bring the screen down. So that song is familiar to many of us because we've been singing it for all these years, right? But never recorded by us. So that is Jennifer Barazan's song, who is a local Canadian expat, great songwriter. So Jin Chuan Shi was listening in as we were rehearsing here and gave us some sage advice where he said, don't mess it up. I like it plain, you know. So did we mess that one up? That's a yes, we did? No, did not. That's a yes. So adding a second guitar, and he was concerned with, particularly with Master Empty Cloud Wakes Up, which is always played by one banjo, you know. And I think we added instruments to it. I think we improved it. And you have to pass your test, your mess-up test, whether we messed it up. You can overcook food, right? You can ruin a drawing with too much pencil, you know. So I think in that case we did okay by Empty Cloud Wakes Up. You'll hear it. So a lot of work remains to be done with that CD. So there you go, David. That's the first couple cuts, right? And it's a long process to get a recorded sound out into people's ears, you know. And we learned that the CD, the compact disc, is a digital medium that has a short lifespan. It's not going to be around for long. The same way that MP3s, as a format for digital music, is going to be gone soon. The CD is going the way of what? The digital download. We love our iTunes. You just click and it's yours, you know, instead of having to go through this thing. So anyway, but there's many steps to get that thing done, and we're only halfway there. We've recorded the sounds. We still have to process them and critique them and, you know, mix them and master them and press them and distribute them. So a lot of work. Anyway, so that was the project completed yesterday after 3 days of work with a lot of hands, a lot of musicians who put their hearts into it and their skills. But the last one we produced was 2009. So all these years getting this one at least recorded. So you're not the first to hear it, you're the second to hear it. I played it for Jin Fosher was the first one to hear it the other day. So yeah. So okay, if we can get you rolling down the highway singing along, we're successful. So that's what. People bopping along to the Tang Dynasty groove. Goodbye to good and evil, goodbye to loss and gain. Stillness and tranquility you never ask again. You never know. Why not? Okay, any announcements? We have ordination coming up this week. Whole week of making new monks and nuns. It's a big deal. We didn't talk. We promised to talk about it at lunch. We didn't. We'll talk about it next week. Next week we have the next step into the sutra. We'll be giving our booklet makers more material. They'll be printing out again. And what else do we have? I think we'll make it. Oh, I should make it back though. Yeah. That's right. So we'll. That's a question still whether it's going to be. Sorry about that. I'm teasing you. Whether I will be here next week because the ordination is going to require. But it would still be nice if we could. We'll see. We'll let you know. It'll be either me or somebody who wears the same costume that I wear, and who lectures absolutely the same way. So yeah. Okay. What else?
Otherwise, just the same schedule. I think today is Saturday, so Thursday we have the East Bay Insight Meditation, and Saturday we have our Dharma Assembly Day here at Berkeley Buddhist Monastery, and either Dharma Master or another Dharma Master will speak.
Like they say about Shakespeare, the plays of Shakespeare were written by Shakespeare or by somebody else of the same name. Okay, see you all next week. 识道之进，非道在退，在善而从，不善而改. Translate it yourself. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu